we're not here to talk about the Lions right now. Brandon, I think you had a topic prepared for us you wanted to discuss, and that was it 5 waiver pickups? You want to talk about that a little bit? Introduce that topic.
Yeah, I have 5 guys I think you can grab off the waiver wire now that can help you out later in the season. I'll start off with Justice Hill. Obviously, the injury to the backfield with the Ravens. So he's come in. I think he had Gus Edwards had the other carries, but Justice Hill's rostered in less than 40% of teams, and he's tied right now and with red zone carries with 8 for 30. He's tied at third with 8 red zone carries with Tyler Algier, K9, and Derrick Henry, which is surprising to me that he's had that many carries in the red zone. But obviously with the injury, that helps him obviously to get the carries. But I think he's a good pickup. It shows he's trusted in the red zone, and he's going to carry the ball at the goal line and possibly get those touchdown points for you. So not a bad roster pickup there with only 40% ownership. Second one is go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, real quick on Justice Hill. That's the red zone carry is important if you're playing in like a non PPR, just standard scoring. Right, you're looking for those touchdown vultures, so that might be a really, really strong play. I'm surprised to hear that he's rostered in less than 40% of the leagues. Where is that on? Is that on ESPN?
I pulled it from just straight Fantasy Pros, so it's kind of I think it's a combination
across all platforms.
A bunch of across all the platforms together.
Yeah, Justice Hill I feel like was a guy that a lot of people were targeting when J.K. Dobbins went out. It was kind of a mix, right, of Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. A lot of guys were going after one or the other. Nobody really knew how that was going to shake out, but I like the Justice Hill play. I think both of those guys are probably worth carrying. Surprised to hear he's not rostered on more teams. I like that.
Yeah,
Justice Hill's out this week, right?
I did not.
I did. Yeah, he has not practiced this week.
Yeah, he's out this week.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. No.
And I think obviously it's likely. I think Gus Edwards had the first 2 touchdowns after the Dobbins injury. So
yeah.
And don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But I think a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon with him right away. And now with the injury to Justice Hill, he's still sitting there. So he's a good guy you could stash away, for the end of the season. That's the idea with these. So
yeah, Gus Edwards is the guy that most people I think are rostering, at least on Sleeper. Justice Hill's rostered in 52%, Gus Edwards 68%. They split carries almost right down the middle. Gus Edwards week 2 had 10, Justice Hill had 11. Gus Edwards did a little better work with his carries, but that's probably why Gus Edwards is rostered in more leagues. So case in to your point, not that I ever enjoy agreeing with you, but Justice Hill rostered in a little fewer leagues. I know, shocking, right? And we have to air this on the internet for the public to see. What am I going to do with myself? So that's Justice Hill. Who else you got on your list?
The other one's he's a bear, which I don't love right now, but it's Rashawn Johnson. I think a lot of people were high on him going into the season as a rookie. In our Devy leagues, he was going and also in our dynasty. So he went early in the rookie draft. I'm not sold on Khalil Herbert. I don't think the Bears are a good team in general. So he is also rostered in he's owned by less than 40% teams. He's had 4 red zone carries or 4 red zone opportunities, 2 carries, 2 receptions, and Khalil Herbert has a 1. Also goes to show the Bears' lack of efficiency in getting into the red zone to begin with, but he's actually had more than Herbert. So that was an interesting stat to me. And the fact that he's not owned by many, likely in redraft leagues, he's available. So go out and grab him. He could be the RB1 for Chicago by the end of the year. And that was kind of where I was at with him. I know you guys have some thoughts on Khalil Herbert. I know Adam doesn't like him.
I don't like anybody in a Bear uniform.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm taking a Bear, I'll give DJ Moore that gamble because he's such a good receiver that's been plagued with crappy quarterback play his whole life, but he's an absolute stud wide receiver, super underrated until he went to Chicago, and then all of a sudden people talked about him that he was going to be great and the Bears are going to go 12-5 and Justin Fields is going to win MVP. But as far as that backfield, I like Dante Foreman a lot coming into the year because I thought he ran super hard. with Carolina, and he did it with the Texans too. Caught some unfortunate injuries, but I like the Rashawn Johnson play. I wouldn't dog anybody for it. I'm just kind of hoping that Foreman gets a chance over there.
Yeah. I liked Roshan Johnson. You guys know I mostly play Dynasty leagues. In Dynasty, I liked Roshan Johnson a lot. I thought he landed in a great spot because I think Khalil Herbert's trash.
He is.
Unfortunately, the Bears' defense is equally trash. So the offense is just always throwing the ball,
and the organization.
And literally the entire team. But they just don't they don't run the ball enough, right? Like they're not and when they are running, it's usually Justin Fields that's running the ball. So I like Roshan Johnson. I think he's the most talented running back there. So to your point, maybe he gets some more reps in a redraft league later in the year. I like him as a dynasty stash, more so than redraft this year. So I wouldn't add him. I'll go ahead and just call you wrong when I feel like you're wrong. I don't like Roshan Johnson in a redraft. I don't think he's going to score points this year. I don't think anybody outside of DJ Moore is really going to make any noise in that Bear offense. So
Moore and Fields.
Yeah.
Komet's been getting targets.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. There's my thoughts on Roshan Johnson. I'm tired of agreeing with you. I'm being way too agreeable. I don't like the Roshan Johnson play at all. I disagree. I'm not picking him up. Not in redraft leagues. Not now. Not ever.
All right, we'll add another beer chug to the bet that he'll be the RB1 by the end of the year.
All right. I don't know if I agree with that because you could be the RB1 by the end of the year.
Off the cusp, and we haven't planned about it or talked about it, but we should pick a little lineup. We'll just do one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end. Everybody's open. Whoever comes in last in like ESPN standard scoring's got to chug a beer.
I'm in.
Next Friday's podcast.
I'm in.
All right.
I'm in.
Well, no research. They just came up with this, right? So
all right. I already know what my team is.
Well, cool. Let's just got to do a draft. You can't just pick Tua.
Oh, fine. Tua and Puka.
So let's do that. And I'm gonna have to pull up the schedule.
Yeah. All right. Who else you got? You got another one for me? Who else can I make fun of?
Yeah. Number 3, we talked about him on Wednesday's show that we aired on Thursday. But it's Jaden Reed. He's still rostered in less than 20% of teams. And if you're listening to this right now, go out and pick him up in a redraft league. He's going to be a stud in Green Bay this year. And if you don't have him yet in Dynasty and can get him. He's the guy there. We lost Al again. But he ghosted. but yeah, I guess I'll just keep rolling on it. Jaden Reed, Adam, I know you like him. He's getting targets in the red zone, catching them. He had 2 touchdowns last week. I think he's a no-brainer right now. If he's available in your league, go grab him. 100%.
I mean, are you worried about Christian Watson returning, taking away from Jaden?
No. We what we talked about last week. I'm not worried because I think he's building a rapport with Love that can't be replaced. Just the fact that he's in the lineup and he's showing that he can be trusted and catch the ball. Christian Watson drops a lot of balls, and I think they're 2 different players as well. So him coming back, I think what Al said last episode about Christian Watson opening up the field for him is actually probably true, if I have to agree with Al. But it's I see that happening. So
my biggest thing with Jaden Reed and his potential moving forward is he's being trusted in the red zone. And that speaks volumes. So that's not going to go away with Watson or not. Jaden Reed is going to be a factor into that offense. So I'll take over for Al since he just ghosted us. What you got? Any more guys that you want to?
Yeah, 2 more left. Number 4 on the list is Zay Jones. He's rostered in less than 50% of teams, and he's leading in the red zone. He's 5 red zone targets. He's tied for first for wide receivers with Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, and Calvin Ridley. So he's getting the targets. He's only caught 2 in the red zone, I think, of the 5. I don't know if they were drops or if they were contested. I didn't see them. But I think he's a guy that could be grabbed if available in your league, and potentially get some scoring in the wide receiver slot. So.
Yeah, my thoughts on Zay Jones real quick is I love him, but you have to have a strong stomach to put up with Zay Jones because he's going to throw zeros at you or one catch for 4 yards. And then the following week, he's going to have 8 catches for 3 touchdowns and 100 yards. So you have to have a strong stomach to start him. But I do like Zay Jones because he's one of the best desperation plays you can have in fantasy football in today's game.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We had a good time without you.
I don't know what happened, but I'm sure Brandon said a bunch of stupid stuff that made no sense at all.
I think our viewership
looks good.
I think our viewership's going to spike during that brief few minute period.
During my brief outage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, Alan, I'm in.
Unbelievable.
All right, so I had to pick up for you. I think Brandon's got one more fellow to talk about.
All right, who we got?
Yeah. This one's kind of a wild card, but some numbers jumped out at me. He's on a pretty high octane offense with Dallas. Is Kevontae Turpin? He's rostered in less than 1% of teams. He's had 3 red zone targets and also 2 red zone carries, and actually had a rushing touchdown. So that stands out to me. I think obviously they have Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. Somebody else has got to kind of step up there. Brandon Cooks has been out with an injury last week. I don't know if that's going to be lingering. That seems to be kind of Brandon Cooks' MO. He's going to be around, but he'll be out often as well. He was out last year a lot with Houston. So this one stood out because it was like, okay, he's gotten carries in the red zone too. And he's getting passes in the red zone. So 1% is owned. He's available probably everywhere. And again, these are thoughts of like, you got a dead spot in your lineup because of a bye week or an injury or something. And you really kind of just in desperation, stash him away and see what he grows into. And you can always plug him in, he might get you a couple of points here and there. And by the end of the season, who knows, he might be, producing for you. Based on those numbers, it means he's getting action in the red zone. So like we talked about with Zay Jones, he's leading with 5. So Turpin has 3 through 2 weeks targets in the red zone. So he's not too far off from the leaders.
I hate it for redraft. I don't, I'm not thinking of him. I have him on a couple of dynasty teams, so I wouldn't mind seeing it. But I think if that hits, that's great. But I just, Dallas offense, Mike McCarthy, I'm not impressed with him at all.
Yeah. You got to have a really deep bench to be rostering somebody like Kevontae Turpin. Right?
Yeah, so it's like, who would you drop? What redraft leagues have a roster that deep to drop? Who are you dropping for him?
Right. So, yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
But I like him. I like him as a keep your eye on for redrafts and in dynasty. If he's there, scoop him up. If you have anything over a 22-man roster in dynasty, scoop him up for sure. Get rid of OBJ. Get rid of some of these guys that aren't going to do anything. You already seen them, Diami Brown or whoever you might be holding. Pick up this kid, and he's older. He's like 27 already.
Yeah, he is.
I was just trying to think outside of the box for some waiver wire pickups, because it's one thing I noticed in redraft leagues, and we talked about it a little bit with Puka. But these guys come out and they're the flavor of the week with they had a great game, and then everybody's going out and grabbing them from the waiver wire, and they're owned across all many leagues. So these were just kind of ones that have been sitting still, even producing some and on their teams and producing some fantasy relevancy in terms of points and red zone targets and things like that. So just something for folks to keep their eyes out on, and if you're struggling or have a desperation move that you need to make, those could stand out. But I don't think any of them will be game changers.
Even if nothing else, you throw them on your watch list and make sure you just keep an eye on them, right? Because that's not a name that's going to just pop out. You're not going to be looking for it every week. Throw them on your watch list, keep an eye on them, see if they start creeping up, snaps or receptions or whatever the case. Not a bad idea.
They're on my watch list so that I can see how many points they score in the following weeks, and I can.
You pretty much
come back
just
to 'em.
cursed all 5 of those guys. So there goes that. All right, awesome. Well, there's Brandon's 5 waiver pickups you can jump on now to help your team later. Not anytime soon, especially Cavante Turpin, most certainly Roshan Johnson because he's a bear. All right, awesome.